Hey y'all, welcome to Marcy in the Middle, a podcast about transitions and the middle of life. Here we talk about everything from relationships to finding your place in the world and lots more. We'll talk with friends from all walks of life and find out what they've learned along the way. So whether you feel young or old or somewhere in between, this is the place for you. Welcome to the Middle. My guest today is Kim Swindall. She's a wife, mother of 5, and she and her husband Seth pastor Church on the Move West in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Kim is a life strategist and a very good friend. Today we're going to talk about soul care during life transitions. Now let's get started. Welcome to the podcast, Kim.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Thank you for coming. I'm quickly running through my list of friends, so we'll see how many people keep answering my phone messages. No, today we are talking about soul care and just navigating the tricky seasons of life and what are the things that we can do to kind of help those transitions go more smoothly. And I know that your life over the past few years has been full of transitions. So I thought you would be great. That and the fact that I love you and we're friends and you had to say yes.
I owed you one. I owed you a few.
There you go.
Actually.
Okay, so literally when we were visiting about you coming on and I started thinking back over your life the past few years, I feel much better about my own. No,
Whatever.
You've moved to a different state, started a business. You and Seth have taken on a new church as pastors. You've turned 40. You've sent your oldest child to college. Like, there's literally not a transition I feel like that you haven't had some form of in the last couple of years. So how are you hanging in there?
Yeah, it's been, the last 3 years, all of that has been bundled into it. And I'm good. I'm good now. I'm better now than I was if you had asked me a year and a half ago, not going to lie. I was hanging on by a thread, I think then, but I feel like, okay, I can breathe a little.
Yeah. Exhale, life. It's
I might
gonna be
have
okay.
some words for it now where I didn't.
Sometimes that makes the biggest difference.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, what happened and what is the situation? Okay. Well, we're going to kind of jump right in because, we spend a lot of time, I feel like, talking about, physical health and, taking care of ourselves physically and somewhat mentally and spiritually as well, but just taking care of your soul, I think we might not put a lot of language to that and think about what goes into nurturing your soul. And sometimes I feel like our quick answer, especially in church circles, is pray more, read your Bible. Pray and read your Bible, which are both, hey, you should pray and you should read your Bible. I hope you do. At least some, but I feel like there are some other practical things that go along with that really help you function during times of great transition or even just the day-to-day. So what are some of those things that you feel like have helped you navigate some of these changes? Yeah,
that's the interesting thing about transition, honestly, is, man, whether it happens to us or we create it around us or, like you mentioned, just natural life cycles, transitions that come with that, with kids moving out or whatever. One thing that, probably the biggest thing that really helped me move through that is a thing called energy management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have not heard of this term. So educate us.
It totally, it really did. It really gave me some ground to stand on. I really felt like, okay, where you feel like you're in the whirlwind because you are, right?
Yeah.
And everything is spinning and life's still happening. For instance, we had a death in that 3 years as well. And in that death, it's life still goes on. Death is weird. And the mourning process is very interesting as well. But whether it's that or Caitlin, moving out or whatever, you're in the whirlwind of life and life still goes on, right? We still have our jobs to get to. We still have to cook and clean and laundry and all the things and get coffee with friends. But energy management was a big deal. A lot of people talk about time management, but energy management is what saved me. It's the concept of what fuels me.
Okay.
And that's different for each of us.
Yep.
But so I had to really discover what fuels me. And I'll be honest, man, I didn't know at first.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know.
It took me, some people know, my husband, he knew. He could list 3 things right off the bat. And it's true. When you don't do these things, you run out of energy. You run out of steam, stamina. And not just energy to wake up and do all your things, but like
to actually enjoy the
life.
Moments of your day. Yeah.
When life is crazy or good.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the beauty of this energy management is it doesn't matter if life sucks or if it doesn't. Like, you still have to manage that. So for me, I really did. It was trial and error because not only have I never really had hobbies. I mean, if I was a hobby, it would be traveling. And then,
me too. And you can't always do that.
No, you can't. And that's the thing with energy management is it cannot be dependent on something else or someone else.
Okay.
So like my energy management couldn't be like taking a walk with my husband because if he couldn't take a walk that day,
right,
I don't get
that
refilled.
Leaves you,
so it can't have any of that. So.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so I have to know, as your friend, I'm sitting here thinking what I think these would be for you, but what did you discover that does kind of boost your energy?
You know, and I will say this, it changes in your seasons. Mm-hmm. So what fuels me now didn't fuel me then, or what started on my list, if it ever becomes tasky,
right,
or it feels like a task, okay, wait, this probably isn't a refueler anymore, so I had to switch. This is crazy, but I have to have fun.
Yep.
Like I feel like because of our schedules, there's so much planning in my life. I have to have some crazy unstructured, let's just go have fun. Let's throw a dart at the map and just see where it lands.
Okay.
Or let's like just randomly get up and go do something. It can be hanging out. For me, it can be hanging out with friends, laughter. I just have to have once a month, put it on my calendar. I'm doing something fun.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so like spontaneous is great, but sometimes you got to schedule it.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
You do. But it's just got to be, even in the scheduling, it's scheduling the day, but it's like an unraveled plan.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
Yes.
Surprise me in a good way.
Yeah, just surprise me.
Yeah.
That's one of mine for sure.
No, that's good.
Yeah, nature. I just need the outside. I prefer oceans. But, exactly. I live in Oklahoma, so whatever.
The beach, the Swiss Alps. I'm flexible. Yeah. I can take anything.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is interesting to consider about yourself. And as a mom and the wife and just as somebody who's kind of maintaining things for other people, which is great. You want to do those things.
Sure.
But sometimes your own needs sometimes do fall through the cracks because
absolutely,
life does go on and people do have to have clean underwear. That is, I don't do much after they get clean, but I can get them clean.
But they get clean.
I think too, it's weird, but I think nature, maybe as you get older, I don't know why I think that, but in 2020 when the world slammed to a stop, that literally saved my mental health. Being able to get outside, and thank 100%. Goodness we lived in Oklahoma where the pandemic was somewhat optional and you could still go outside.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you would do if you can't, because I feel like literally the sun and just having a little bit of fresh air does a lot to clear your head and revitalize you probably.
I agree. And I think, honestly, I haven't really met a person that has said the contrary to that.
Yeah.
They may not know it yet,
yes.
But even I think that, like you said, the pandemic kind of proved that because we lived in a neighborhood at the time and I saw more people walking the sidewalks and walking the streets. And and there's a park by the house and there was just more outside activity. So
makes you
I
thankful.
think you're right. Yeah. There's something about the majesty of outside too.
Yes.
It's just big and I dream there when I'm outside. Like I can dream and think and just really let my thoughts go without restriction. So and
I
that's
think so
needed,
too.
So
I've listened to several podcasts lately and a lot of them talk about praying while they're walking, that the movement just kind of helps you clear your head and
interesting
and stay focused. And it does, I think, remind you that you're not the biggest thing on the planet.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
We know that, but sometimes it does. Sometimes you need a little perspective to remind you.
Yeah, I think also one thing that personally that helped for me was just learning to just be. I'm quite a mover by nature. I remember a few years ago, I thought I was having some thyroid issues, and the doctor was like, "Oh my gosh, if we get this straightened out, like your wife, she's gonna have all the energy back." And Seth's eyes were just massive, and he's like, "Are you okay, sir?" And he's like, "I don't like. She's already energized. Like,
Really,
what is this gonna be
don't
like?
Turn up the volume.
Don't do that. Can I ask a call back?" But anyway, that I had to learn just to create space and margin for me to just listen to thoughts, listen to my heart, listen to God speak, whatever it is, and just create that margin just to be still.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I underestimated just what that gave back to me.
Yeah, I think
for sure
that's probably true. I am the same way. It's very hard for me to sit still, and I don't like to process any kind of sad or negative feelings. Like it is hard for me to sit in that, and I think we've talked about the Enneagram before, but I'm a 7, and so I like to avoid all. If it is painful in my own life or someone else's, it's very hard for me to sit with that. Like, it makes me really uncomfortable. I will probably say something really stupid, or I will stay so busy that I don't have to think about it, just as a matter of dealing with it. And that is not a healthy pattern to get into, because at some point one must process the feelings. And life is full of a wide range of feelings, which have to be felt.
Especially in transition.
Yeah, especially in transition.
Coming at you like a fire hose.
Yeah, no kidding. Did you have you read anything, or did you have you listened to anything that helped you when you're navigating these changes, or just even on a regular basis to maintain a healthy soul? What are some of your practices that you do?
Yeah, I'm a massive. I used to read a lot more. I listen to a lot. I'll say that. Yep. I'm a big listener. I'm giggling because someone recently told me there is a difference and you should read again. And I'm like, okay, so I've started a book already, so we'll see how it goes.
Good job.
But it's a few things. One is, like I said, the margin, just create that space to really reflect and think and let myself get some clear thoughts and not just what I call messy thoughts. I'm a huge fan of Andy Stanley. He just never gets old to me. Practical, simple. He's got longer ones, short ones, whatever. So definitely his podcast. But this is crazy. I thought, I don't know how you are, but when you're in the middle of these seasons and the whirlwind's real, I'm just it's the only thing I know to call it, because you feel like you're in a combination of a tornado and something else. I just feel like sometimes if you can throw something in that gear to get it to stop. Yeah. So for me, it was, what have I not done? So what is something that I haven't done maybe that I'm just going to try just to see if I can kick my body out of this? Yeah. Because while we need to sit in it to not, like you were talking about, we don't just want to push through and, not always process. We do need to sit in it a little bit and see what is going on here. What is there? Yeah. And is it something, there's a lot we can't control. But is there something that I can control? And let me just kind of focus in on those one or two things and kind of, help navigate that. I randomly stumbled across this, but it's amazing. If you will layer the grief cycle on top of just as you're going through transition, you're actually grieving. Yeah, because you're letting go of something, whether it was something you wanted to let go or not. Yeah. Transition is still that process of letting go. And when I saw that, it really helped me because I could identify, okay, here's where I am. Yes. It's going to be okay. I'm working my way on this process. But that tool, man, that grief cycle tool really helped. I just never thought about it that way. No, and it made so much sense. Even with my kids, moving them, they were older this time. So I had a senior or going into senior year, and the rest, well, I say the rest, the littles were in middle school, but they were all in high school. So they were big. Yeah. It helped me walk them through it because you're not walking yourself through a lot of times the transition, you're walking other people through it too. Yes. But even layering that cycle on top of that helped me identify where they are and even give a little bit of grace and mercy when I'm like, okay, listen, I let you cry for a little bit. Like, come on,
let's go.
Come on.
So, that's right. Are the, how has that how has it been to walk your kids through that? Like what have you seen and learned in that process?
Oh man. Painful, but beautiful. I mean, painful.
Both and.
Yeah, I don't think you can get away from it.
No.
I think parenting, life, if you're married, I mean, it's always both and, right?
Yeah,
Like
I think so too.
It's that tension that we'll just always manage with them. I'll be honest, one of the most hardest transitions, that piece of it. I don't know if it's because of all the other transition or if it was just because of that, but it was tough. They were kind and generous and as much as teenagers can be, you know. But you're wondering the whole time. I mean, the question of life is, am I screwing them up?
I know,
right?
exactly.
Like,
how much therapy are they going to need because of my
like,
choices?
am I going to be on their graph one day as a pivot point in their life going, my mom and dad
made us move. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I will say this, when you know and you're taking those steps, and not that we did everything perfect, because I promise you, we did not do everything perfect. But you keep those conversations big.
Yeah.
Even you talk about one of the things that I did, conversation, went back to just the simplicity of, that whole, what did you hear me say?
Right.
Like sometimes it's going back to the simplicity of those basics. And in conversation is one of those, like, we recognizing we all have a lot of emotions and we're all at different stages of the cycle, remember? Yeah. And just, what did you just hear me say just then? And it's amazing how, okay, no, didn't say that at all. Let me try again. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
like, that's
exactly.
not what I wanted. It's amazing how that helped, though. Just going back to those simple basics, communication, conversation, really helps move that process and that along.
Yeah, I think that's good. Like you, and you've hit on a couple of things, the both and, but even you definitely have talked about the importance of kind of taking some time by yourself, but then with the conversation, balancing you don't want to be isolated.
You can be isolated.
You definitely need some moments alone for clarity and just to process your own, but I think not getting stuck in that, because sometimes it's overwhelming 100%. To think, I have a lot of things to process, but who am I gonna talk to?
No, love that.
You sometimes need an objective person, and of course, we just had lunch and already talked about a decent amount of this, but maybe even adding a therapist to the equation, I feel like is good. I know myself personally, I did in 2020, took some time and got some therapy, and just, it was no one I knew. I could go say literally whatever
anything.
I felt.
It's a safe place.
And I think a lot of people probably have a skewed vision of what a therapy session is. It is not someone telling you all the things to go do to fix whatever you're in, but really just letting you say it out loud and helping you
get so much freedom in that.
Get to your own answers. And
I think
that's crucial.
In the silence, that's what it's about. It's when I say you have to create space to be silent and let yourself process, it's so you can figure those things out. So I'm glad you brought it back to that. It's so you realize, I might need help with this. Yeah. I need to do this. And you can recognize patterns and trends in your own life. That's what it's for. Because you can't sit there, like you said. And I'll be honest, there's things that Seth can't help me process. Right. My husband can't do that. Yeah. And vice versa. I mean, when he first went to a counselor, I was so thankful, because there's things that's like, I don't know that I want to know. Right. Even. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
the pressure
I want to carry that.
Feel as like, do I have to fix you? No, it's not someone else's
job. Because we're fixers.
Yeah.
So no matter how much I say, I'm not going to try, I'm going to try.
I'm going to give it my best shot.
I am.
If you'll just do what I'm telling you, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I am. And I know that. Yeah. So 100%. I think we undervalue what a counselor, a good one, can do.
Yeah, I do too. And
life coach falls in that, depending on what you need. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, and now that you've mentioned life coach, I think that's something that maybe in the business world, I do know that coaching has been around for a long time, but I feel like maybe in our area and more rural parts of the country, that's not something that you hear people talk about or think is even available to utilize. And that's another great tool. And maybe you don't need it constantly, but I love the new project that you've been working on, that is where you actually are a life strategist. I don't know if there's a difference in that and life coach, but talk a little bit to that, because I think it's such a good, it would be very helpful I'm signing up as soon as I can, just because it's great to help you figure out where you want to go and maybe how to get there.
Sure. Yeah, there is a difference. Usually the coaching comes after, but it's, where do I even start? It's a 1-day intensive is the way I explain it. But it really helps you put language around, oftentimes it's not like, oh my gosh, new realizations, aha, like I never thought of that. Mm-hmm. It's not what we're going for. It's putting language around who you are innately, not who someone told you to be, and not who, you even aspire to be. Right. It's who you are. And it's my most favorite moment is when I see them settle, when I see people on the other side of me settle in and just find that peace in, like I just put this coat on and it feels perfect.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And that's really neat. And then it just digs into, people, we talk about transition. There's transition in jobs oftentimes. Mm-hmm. People wondering, like, is this job for me? A piece of the strategy session is I can help you navigate that and say, hey, you won't last more than 18 months in that position, or it's a good fit, you know, whatever it is. Yeah. CEOs, COOs, VPs that are being hired. Definitely, that's a place you want to put them in to see. You spend a lot of money hiring people. So.
Yeah. And I'm thinking that would save you, a session like that would save you decades of kind of trial and error, and a lot of, a lot of probably things that you would like to avoid in the job world if you're totally out of your lane.
For sure.
And just kind of narrowing down. I feel like a lot of us, obviously, I believe that we're designed with some specifics in mind, but there's a lot of different options, a lot of different ways to fulfill and use your giftings, and that would be a great opportunity. So you sit down with the strategist like yourself, and you take a day, and then you're just going to kind of look.
Yeah, get the main purpose is clarity, alignment, and momentum.
Awesome.
And you'll walk out with those 3 things. It's beautiful. Like, I think I mentioned this to you at lunch, but we did a 70-year-old person. Yeah. And even that, I hope I can say this and it doesn't offend anyone, but even that back of the herd group, man, just beautiful watching him settle into, I do have purpose still. Yeah. There is still something in this life that I can contribute. It's just beautiful.
I think it is too.
I wish I had done it sooner personally. Yeah. So I wish I didn't wait so long to go through a session. So
yes, that is something. And we will kind of link some of that information in case somebody's interested in doing it. But I do think there's transitions throughout your lifetime, but I have seen as of recent, and probably because I'm getting older and looking ahead at the people ahead of me, that I'm telling you that retirement age looks very tricky. I was very happy to survive my 40s. I'm not going to lie. And if we're friends longer than 10 minutes, you've probably heard me say that out loud. But now I'm thinking, okay, whatever that business is,
I don't know if I want it.
At around age 65 or whenever you retire, it looks daunting. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what can I do now to avoid that? Because we do get so tied to our identity at a particular time.
And as what we do for a living is oftenly, our identity is tied to that. And I think many times we say, no, it's not, but then we find out, oh, it is. Yeah. But even like you said, navigating that that transition in life is so daunting, because I think it's just different now. It's totally different.
I do too.
And I'm with you on that. I'm not going to lie, though. When you sent me that text about coming on today, I was like, had to reread that part about middle-aged women there. And I was like, wow. I'm here. Like, I'm here. Like, I had to read that 3 times and say it out
I'm
loud.
middle-aged. No, I'm not.
I Googled
yeah.
what is middle age.
Yes.
Like, I Googled it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Hey, you're
I'm
in
kidding.
40 though. Yeah, I feel
I'm
like
there.
you're in a good spot. You just
I will say 30s. And thankfully, I went through most of this transition then that, there's about 3 years
Yeah.
of really, it was intense. It was beautiful, but very brutal. But I don't know, something happened. I feel like now it's like I'm more settled in who I am. Like, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I really am. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I don't have it all figured out.
No.
I'm not sure we ever do, but
Yeah. But just I think it is a good I love where I am right now. And I'm please Lord let it be good for longer
keep
than
on
6
keeping
weeks.
on.
That's right. Because there are the end of my 40s I would say was not pretty. And I'm so happy to not be there right now. And I don't know that it's exactly the age, but it is maybe just the perfect storm of life events. Just kind of like what you have done. When you can check off a bunch of big things, or if you're just feeling like maybe I'm not sure, who am I? Like, what do I like to do? What do I want to do?
Yeah. And
the freedom that comes at the end of that was I don't have to have it all figured out. But I know this. I know these are some of the things that I want to do, which is honestly one of the major things that pushed me over the edge as far as doing this podcast was I want people to know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Because I feel like community is another way that we take care of our souls. And you want to share anything you've learned. I mean,
Sure.
I've worn some of my worship team people, poor them. They get
all the things.
They get the unfiltered life lessons of Marcy. I'm like, I love you people. I want to spare you, so I'm going to say this. And this is what you're going to feel like, and don't panic. Don't drive off and leave everything you know. This too shall pass. But you do want people to know. And that is what I think you were talking about, the 70-year-old that went through the strategy
100%.
session. We need them so bad.
Oh my gosh.
To tell us what they know.
I just want to sit in rooms with them and just hear them talk.
Yeah.
There's so much rich, deep wisdom there that just oozes out.
Yeah.
And they don't even see it.
No, and I think
they do not see the value. 60-year-olds, 70, like there's so much value in that. 100%.
Yeah. America, we kind of worship youth and beauty and place a lot of emphasis on that. And listen, I'm down with it. I want to get old. I don't particularly want to look old.
Right.
So I will fight with all I can to maintain whatever. But the knowledge and the wisdom and just the life lessons that age group offers. And, even at church, it drives me crazy because it seems like you relegate the seniors to funeral casserole duty or nursery. And I'm like, no, can you please grab that microphone and tell me how to not
kill
wreck
my
my
family.
kids? And I want to stay married and still like my person by the time I get to your age. And I feel like
that happens in community. Like you were talking about, it takes getting around each other and just asking.
Yeah.
And some of that's on us. Like we have to pull it and ask them.
Making
like, hey,
time.
Like, come over, hang out. Let me come to you.
Yeah. And don't assume we don't want to know. Listen, if you're listening to this podcast and you are anywhere older than I am, I want to know everything.
I want to know too.
Tell us your secrets.
Tell us all the things,
That's right.
the good, bad. And for instance, nobody told me, like, and this age I'm sure is different for each person, but like that I needed to carry tweezers around at a certain age and like sit in my car with the good light and tweeze so that I can get on and not look like a
When you have a better beard than your husband,
What
it
the
is not a
heck?
good day.
Nobody told me this.
And
like,
car lighting,
why?
you're like, I'm Moses. I had no idea, and no one told me, so thank you. Tweezers.
And that's a little thing like a tweezer, but like, I mean, it's all the things, right? Like
it's all the things.
It's the deep things, and it's little things like, just, you'll thank me later. Put these in your purse.
Just put this in your purse. That's right.
Put this in your purse.
It's
funny. Crazy. It's crazy.
Well, what else? If you were talking to someone in their 30s or maybe even 20s, what do you wish someone had told you, or what would you pass down to them that you think would have been helpful to know?
Great question. I honestly think I wish someone would have told me stop trying to figure out the end.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's my personality because I can push and bulldoze and do and make things happen. But really put my energy and my hands toward things that just really matter. Mm-hmm. You know, don't try to figure it all out because the reality is in a year, 6 months, it's going to change anyway, right? like your plan gets shattered. So
yes,
it's not
exactly.
My dad, you know, he always used to tell me, and this has stuck with me always. Like he'd say, babe, you make a plan and you modify.
That is great.
He goes, I don't know one person that's ever gone with plan A.
No.
And I'm just like, it's so true.
Yes. No, it's 1,000,000% true.
I don't even go with plan B most of the time, you know?
Exactly.
But in all your life, when you're trying to figure out all these things, you know, whether you're in the midst of raising little kids or teenagers or adult kids or no kids, you know, marriage, work, whatever it is, there's things that require our attention though. And I would say just rest in it. Just rest and take that one step towards it, you know? Don't be afraid to ask questions. Yeah. I'm a question person by nature. So if my husband hears this, he's going to like, oh gosh, because I am a question. I love it. I want to get to the bottom of it and I want to dig it out. But more so to what we were talking about, go up to those older people. Like I promise you they may not know right then, but they'll come back to you or they'll connect you with someone that does. Just approach them, ask.
That's good.
Chase after it, but also be, you know.
Yeah. Well, just keeping yourself, I do think when I was thinking about this topic of soul care, I always come back to the term soul food because, you know, I do love to eat and I do love me some soul food. But literal soul food to what you feed your mind and body, not just, drink water, eat good, eat a lot of protein and not a lot of butter. All that's great, but just what you're putting into your
it matters.
Mind does matter, and who you surround yourself with.
Oh, yeah, that would be something, oh gosh, I wish I would have learned way early on, was one, it's okay to let relationships go.
Yep.
If they're toxic. And even like you don't have to battle. Like I think there's this weird thing that we have that we think, okay, like I'm going to give it a year. I'm going to give it 5 years or 10 years. Like, no, like you have to know, like your margin's going to be way different than anyone else's, you know, and you have to really be aware of, can I handle this right now? And it's okay if you can't. Yes. But that doesn't mean in 6 months you can't, or a year or 2 years, you know, but be okay being okay.
Yeah.
You know,
no, I think that's good. Boundaries
are massive.
And I had terrible boundaries. I still feel like, and even the difference in my age and yours, I feel like people my age and maybe older, especially if you're raised in the South, if you're raised in an evangelical environment where it's always serve other people first and be nice.
Yep.
Don't, whatever it takes for everyone to get along, don't hurt anyone's feelings. Don't, and all of that has its place, obviously.
Sure.
But
not to the detriment of you.
Yes, not to the detriment of you. And everyone is not supposed to be in your tightest circle.
No.
You are allowed to say no. My kids are so much better than this. I'm not going to lie. It gives me great anxiety sometimes when I see what they say, or if they're telling me how they're responding to somebody
You're like,
in their business. I'm just like, did you say that out loud? Okay.
Okay, we went there.
Not going to tell you not to, because good for you that you have the guts to. I would never, and clearly you still have customers, so it's okay.
It's all going to be okay.
Just drawing the line of what's healthy and appropriate and good to you, and you are not obligated to give yourself away.
Yeah.
I've gotten myself into some situations that were less than ideal and way less than healthy, that had I known now,
sure,
or had I known then what I know now, I would be like, Okay.
Even in the family unit, like
100%.
there was like this unspoken, and my parents didn't do this. They didn't say these things
Right.
necessarily, but it was like this unspoken. I don't know if it has to do with the South, like you said, country town. I don't know, but like you're going to every baby shower and every
Right.
wedding
Oh
shower
my
and every
gosh.
birthday, like. And there was
Yes.
just this freedom when I realized,
Yes.
just because I don't go, I still love them.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
still support them.
Yes.
And I'm going to
I'm
let
not
them know
going to your
that.
party.
But just because I can't physically make it, I mean, there was just a season, it just wasn't happening. But
Yeah.
I felt this insane guilt. And
Yes.
it's like, why?
Yeah.
And it's just things like
Yes.
that. Just
30-somethings and 20-somethings do
Yeah.
not receive the guilt.
It's
I
just
don't think that they feel that, though, because look, no one goes to baby
That's so
showers
true.
anymore.
They're like obsolete now.
No one even throws them.
They don't even
Yeah.
call them. I think they
Yes.
changed the name.
That's right. My friends and I laugh now, but I'm sitting here thinking through when we
That's
were
so
all,
true.
because we were all in church together. And of course, along with your age groups, typically everybody's either getting married or
Yes.
having babies. And we
Yes.
finally said, listen, we love you.
Because we stopped
And we're giving
it.
you one baby shower for your first kid. And after that, we
You get a high
trust
five.
that you're going to, we'll give you a pat on the back. We might bring you dinner one night after you give birth. We might not. Like literally,
But that has nothing to do with my
Yes,
support,
we love
my
you and we're
love.
with you.
Yes.
but 45 baby showers later, no,
Oh, gosh.
we can't do it anymore. So
And, we're talking about shower, but what is it? Like,
Yeah.
there's different things like
Yes.
that are kind of unspoken in everybody's world.
yes,
And it's just like, take a little bit, step back, put some, space there and go,
Yeah.
is it, like,
Yes.
am I feeling that pressure
Yeah.
just because?
yeah, right.
Or is it a legit need I
Yeah.
need to go or
Well,
do or whatever?
and
So
it boils down so much to what are people going to think if I don't? And then you fill in
Sure.
the blank. And I'm like, the older you get, I do think you get a sense of freedom of, you know what? They're probably not thinking anything. They're probably not thinking about me at all.
yeah.
But I'm not, it's not even, if I'm behaving in a manner that's appropriate and
Yeah.
kind, what they think about me is not my problem.
No, it's really not. And that's the other thing. If you can settle in yourself now to do what you just said, like I'm going to own what is my problem.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take on all these other responsibilities that really aren't mine,
Yeah.
whether they're thoughts or actions of other people or whatever, but that's
Yes.
not mine to own. Like how
Yeah.
you react to me
Yeah.
is not mine to own.
Yeah.
That's yours.
That's
So
exactly.
that's yours to own. So yeah, 100%.
That's
Yeah.
good.
The soul is an interesting, very complicated thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know this, but it's definitely not a cookie cutter model.
No.
But it really is going, okay, in this season right now,
Mm-hmm.
how can I best show up well?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what does that look like? And don't buy into the lie that I'm not important enough to invest in.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the whole, what's the big trend now?
Self-care.
Self-care. Like I'm way more, there's a balance in that. That can
Yeah,
get
yeah.
insanely out of hand. But truly, but
Yeah.
also, don't go in the other ditch. Stay
Yes.
in the middle there
Yeah.
of I am important
Yeah.
because I bought that lie.
Yeah.
I don't have time. That's a lie.
Right.
I do have time.
I do have time. Yes,
I
if I need
do.
to go to the bathroom, I'm going to take the time to do it.
Yeah.
I don't have to
Yeah.
not do
And
that.
it may not be an hour and a half in the gym, but it might be
Yeah.
30 minutes or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it is. But
I
yeah,
agree.
for sure.
I feel like one of the battles that maybe you fight a little bit earlier, and maybe I'm not sure this one has an age limit, but the lie that you can do it all and you can have it all. You can work all the time. You can be great in your career. You can have a wonderful, thriving family with homemade food. You can participate in all these extra
Yeah.
activities that are, whether it be through your kids or through church or just a civic organization. And another lie that I think is propagated is everything in balance. I'm like, no, most of the time something is getting a little more attention than something else. And you may have to say no to a lot of really good things.
Sure.
Just to have any kind of quality of life.
Yeah. And it's okay to protect that. Something's going to cheat. You only have 100% to give, or you only have 24
Yes.
hours in a day. So saying yes to these things, I am going to cheat something else.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's just prioritizing and being okay with
Right.
it. I read an article. It's been, probably about 8 months ago, and it was on the woman boss.
Yes.
And that's exactly what she was like. I bought into the lie that I could have this great career and balance all this stuff. And she goes, it was a lie.
Yeah.
Because I'm one person.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're expected to do both and it's like, I physically can't.
I cannot do anything else.
I'm only a person.
Yeah.
Not to say it's not a great career and a homemaker and
yes,
all
you
that,
can have,
but it's just, again, it goes back to where do you want to spend your energy and place your value and be okay that you can't do it everywhere.
Yeah.
Just check yourself.
Yeah.
If you're married, obviously that's a spousal conversation.
Right.
You know, if your kids are taken care of, like, don't feel guilty about it. Like,
right.
You know, like.
Yeah. I feel like ruling things out, you need to probably make that decision based on what is going to matter the longest. And a lot of times, because my personality is a little bit like yours, I don't want to miss out on anything. Like, I want to miss out on nothing during my lifetime.
Yes.
Which is not a reasonable, it's not a reasonable goal.
We're
I think
we're gonna try though.
At this point, what am I going to regret that I don't do, or what am I going to regret that I did? And what can I live with? I mean, can I live with the fact that we ate out a couple of nights a week because I am not the cook that my sister-in-law is? I wish, literally, I'm saying this out loud, I wish I was, but I'm not.
Eat your food, sister-in-law.
And yeah, I will be the recipient. And my kids will say this, and I'm like, I have to be okay with that's not my thing.
100%.
But this was my thing. And so you got to figure out what you can live with and what you can't.
And settle in it. Yeah. Let it go.
Yeah.
We definitely hold so much that we shouldn't like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but we do.
I don't know, because you would always
Why does that stress me? I don't know.
Well, and you would always give more grace to your friends than we give to
1,000%.
ourselves. I'm like, if my friend was sitting here telling me all of this, I would be like, you're crazy. Let it go.
You're so good at this
Who
stuff. Why are you
cares?
worried about that?
Yeah, you're awesome. You're amazing. Do this. Who cares about that? But when we're looking at ourselves, it is, or I don't know, I do hold myself to a higher standard.
For sure.
And that's ridiculous.
One of the best things I did was write myself a letter.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And it was, I read it to, this sounds crazy, so I don't know how crazy this is going to sound on the other
You're
end.
amongst friends. Go
but
ahead.
here I go. Wrote myself a letter, and it was just stuff like that. Like, you know, it's all the things that you are, like not aspire, but again, who you, like you're writing to your friend. And write yourself a letter like you were speaking into the life of a friend that was going through something hard.
Yeah.
And read it to yourself in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And then just really internalize it. Yeah. Because we show so much more grace and kindness. Yes. We're so kind to other people.
We are.
And it's
hopefully.
Like, hopefully, yes. Except, except that one person.
Most of the time. That's right.
You know, but we have to just release that stuff and just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
Speaking things like that over yourself. I'm just a believer of, maybe it's the way I raised, but look people in the eye. When you have something good to say to them, say it to them.
Don't hold back.
And it's the same. We need to do that to ourselves sometimes. Even the Bible says, encourage, and it's like, it's valuable. It's so valuable, but it released so much. Yeah. I had a friend that went through an abortion, actually, and in that season she held it for so long, and it's just one of those things of, again, look at yourself and say these things to it. Mm-hmm. What would you say if I told you this? What would you be telling me? And she just started telling me all that, and I'm like, okay. Like, I recorded it and sent it to her, and I said, I want you to listen to it now. Right. And really internalize it, because we hold that stuff. Yeah. And for what? Like, it's real. It is real. And it's extending grace to yourself and others. And we did talk about this at lunch. I think we probably do not give Jesus the credit for, I think it's almost impossible to know this side of heaven, but we need to practice and lean into that. He has so much more grace for us than we 100%. Do ourselves. And just to receive that is very healing to ourselves and to other people when we extend it, and just letting that soak in it's into all the crevices of your heart is something. Yeah. Well, so good. We've covered it all. So good. All the things. All the things. That's right. Nothing left to ponder. I know. I'm like, is there anything else that you would like to say? Like,
have anything that's on your mind that you feel like you want to say to somebody listening?
I think I would just on the light of soul care and transition, and we talked about this a little bit just with mental health a little bit, and I know mental health gets thrown around a lot right now, but it's real.
It is real.
Especially depending on what kind of transition you're in. I remember there was a point where I literally thought I was losing my mind. Like I just was like, I've never felt that way in my entire life. And I was like, I get it now. I get why all the things happen to people and why they make decisions they do. And it was just crazy. But what's interesting and one of my personal favorite things to do is walk with people in this messy middle.
Messy middle.
The messy middle. I love it. And I think I love it because I know it's so tender.
Yeah.
And again, whether it's a good transition or a really ugly one, there's a moment though to where you physically feel it. And you can feel a shift, and it's like, okay, it's almost like a roller coaster. You know, when you're on a roller coaster and you know where you've made that descent, that's what it feels like. And you can physically feel when you've kind of made that to the other, like one step across the line. Yeah. But it's when you're the step before the line that I think is one of the most critical, crucial, tender moments. If you're in that, and sometimes I call it like a holy unrest even. Yeah. Like you're so unraveled, like you just don't even know. I found myself feeling, I followed the life of a caterpillar. Okay. There you go. There you go. But when a caterpillar is being made into a butterfly, it actually goes to complete liquid. It's crazy. And it's literally mush and liquid. And in that state, like that's where I was. And I lived there for about a year. It was weird. I felt like I wasn't even in my own skin. It was just the most awkward. And that was the best. I read a little story on it, and the only reason I know about the butterfly or the caterpillar, but I also identified with it so well because I didn't feel like my old self. Right. And I have no idea what my new self looks like no idea what this is even going to happen or if anything can even come out of it. Yeah. At that point, I'm like, I don't even know where to step from here. And if you're in that mush and that liquid state of transition, just hold on. Like that's where it comes back to just the basics of life, like really stripping down everything that just is really loud around you. It might be relationships that are really speaking negative. It might be things you're listening to or watching that you don't need to listen to or watch. It might be a job. I don't know what it is for every person. Not to isolate, because you still definitely have to intentionally go to community no matter what. But stick it out. Go back to those basics. Do those things that we talked about. Just find out, where your energy management is. Find out, create some space to really listen to the Lord, listen to yourself. Get in control of your thoughts, because that's the only way you're going to do it. Get a counselor if you need to. Or honestly, even if you don't think you need to, because sometimes we don't think we need to and we do. We just do. Try it for 3 or 4. What's the worst that can happen? Try it for 3 or 4 sessions, but keep just taking that one step forward. We think we have to take leaps. And what I found in that is I don't need leaps. Right. I couldn't physically do a leap if I wanted to anyway, because I didn't even know what I was or who I was, it was so formless. Yes. But so beautiful at the same time, because I felt inside like something's changing and something's happening. Yeah. I just didn't have words for it. Yeah. Nor could I articulate it, but just stay intentional in those moments. Yeah. And even though you're removing things, put the right things in. Yes. But don't put 10 things. You know what I mean? Don't grab a hold of 10 things. Keep it simple. Yeah. If you're a mom with kids, keep it simple. If you're a busy work schedule, and don't add, no matter what phase. Like, it's not about adding 12 things and getting all the self-help in there. No. Like do one thing
One
plus
thing.
your other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's, I don't know, we have this tendency to get it done
Yeah.
fast, but you have to trust the process.
Yeah. And it is a process.
It is, and you
The-
have to let it happen.
Yeah. Just that
You have to.
sense of that it was exactly how I felt.
Really.
Was like, I don't know how to say it, but I do not feel like myself.
Mm-mm.
And I think so much of the stuff going on in the world today, I mean, everywhere you look, there's a major identity crisis down to gender, sexuality,
I
all the
agree.
things. And I'm like, I don't know what it feels like to not know my gender because
Sure.
thank God, I
You know
do.
that,
I
sure.
feel like I know that, but I know exactly what it feels like to not feel like who you are. And I think that is the core of that identity of I'm not myself, but I don't know how to say that out loud.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what doesn't feel
you have no
right.
words for
Yeah,
it.
you don't have words.
For me,
but
it had nothing to do with like my relationship with God.
yeah,
Like I'm good
Yeah.
there. Do you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
what's weird for people. They're like, but I'm a
Yes.
Christian. And
yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
And it wasn't that I was away from God even.
Right.
Like it's none of those
Yeah.
things.
No,
I was solid there. It's just,
Yeah.
it's what you,
It's hard to
There's
explain.
you're just formless. You're a
But
little
yeah.
mush.
Yeah.
You're liquid.
and just saying, I'm not going to quit.
That's it.
Today is not awesome, but it will get better. And I feel like, especially, we've lost several people to suicide just in our community, and that is soul crushing when you think of. They did not think the moment was going to pass.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and say it might be fast. Like it
No.
may take a minute, and but don't give up. Reach out to somebody even a little bit ahead of you, and ask for help, or
Yeah.
do what you got to do to just remain
And
a
even
little bit.
If they don't know or they don't respond, reach out to someone else.
Yeah,
Like
Yes.
sometimes it truly, I hate it, but sometimes it's a numbers game.
yeah, it is.
You know, it may take 10
Yeah.
people asking
Yeah.
to find one,
Yes,
and it's okay. Like
Yeah.
your life's worth it.
100%.
You know,
Yeah,
it's just
Yeah.
worth it. So
and there is light. There's light ahead. So,
yeah.
Well,
And even if it's not death, just situational.
no,
you
yeah,
know,
just
there's
yes,
light. There really
exactly.
is. You
Yeah.
just have to trust that process.
Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
good. Hope is there, and those of us who are ahead of you,
Take
we're here.
you need your tweezers.
That's right. Yeah, get your tweezers. Call your friend. That's right. Go outside.
Just everybody's 35th birthday, just buy them a set of tweezers.
That's
Okay, that's all I'm saying. Just have it ready. Just have it ready.
Don't panic. It will pass. That's right.
Will it?
Well, I hope, Kimmy. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
It's been
So
fun.
fun. We'll do it again.
Enjoyed the visit, and yeah, we'll have you
So
back
fun.
and talk about something else exciting and new. But thank y'all for joining us for Marcy in the Middle, episode 3, and we look forward to seeing you again next time. Pass the word to your friends if it's something you think they would like, and as you hear every single podcast host say, like, follow, subscribe, give us a good rating, all the things. If you don't know how to do that, ask your grandkids. They'll tell you how to do it. And we will see you next time. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, and hit subscribe to keep up with all future episodes. We'd also love for you to leave us a 5-star review. That wraps it up for today's Marcy in the Middle. And remember, whatever you're in the middle of, you're not alone. We'll see you next time.